What's up everybody and welcome to the Beats Authority. In this channel we review albums from a producer point of view, and today we are reviewing Dirtiest Nastiest Suicide by the Suicide Boys and Germ. But first I have to thank you so much for reaching 21 subscribers. Not even 20, 21. I quit my day job, I bought my mama house, I opened the Beats Authority Foundation as a tax write-off. Thank you so much for allowing me to live this lavish life. Back to the Suicide Boys. To be honest, I have no idea who these boys are. I've heard a lot about them, I've seen some crazy footage from shows, and they were on my radar as people I should check because it's a whole parallel universe and they have some diehard fan base. So I'm like, I need to check them out. And they just dropped this EP, so perfect. I'm not gonna do any homework backwards to check them out. I'm going into this with zero prejudice or expectation or anything. I'm coming with a clear objective mind. And when it comes to Germ, respectfully, I have no idea who that is, so we're gonna discover him here. If he is some kind of big deal, please don't crucify me. We all don't know more things than we know, so calm down. And this is a great opportunity for me to discover who that is, even though as I don't know anybody, they're gonna start switching verses and hooks, so I'm not gonna make the difference between who's who, and it doesn't really matter for the purpose of this channel. Let's get right into it. The intro is called Sorry for the Delay. I have to say I'm a little surprised because from the aesthetic of what I've seen on Instagram and their name Suicide Boys and the name of the album Dirtiest Nastiest Suicide, it sounds very dark, but the intro is pretty light-hearted and pretty cool, good vibe. So again, in this channel we're not really looking at the lyrics, it's not the point here. We're looking from a producer's point of view. This is really cool music. I was expecting something pretty depressive, but it's not. I feel like the snare sounds a little old to my taste, sounds very 90s, and the vocals will gain a little bit to be more highlighted, more in front, more important. It doesn't sound super well mixed. The vocals are a little hard to understand because they are like drowning inside all the instrumentals. But yeah, it kind of have an old school hip-hop vibe that I honestly didn't see coming. BUCKHEAD. So I've noticed that this is just the second song, but there is a consistency in the production. Production is very basic, but at the same time has a signature. Means that it's simple. When I say basic, it's nothing that is very innovative or like some crazy sounds. No, we heard this before. Like, it sounds pretty old school. It sounds very 90s to me, and not like boom bap 90s. There's a little bit of scratching, the sound of the snare as I mentioned before. There is a little chord switch at the end. It sounds pretty hard and pretty slow and pretty vibey. It reminds me a little bit of the chopped and screwed era, but this is actually how they are making them. These are not a remix of other songs that are being chopped and screwed. But I feel like the focus here is the vocal production. There is more effort put in there rather than beat, and it's pretty cool. I really like how they are doubling the vocals. They are not precisely on top of each other. It creates some dynamic and some delay that brings something to the pretty high vibe of this whole mood. The back vocals are pretty cool. They're really adding a lot. So even though the beat doesn't have like crazy flips and surprises, but in terms of vocals you don't get bored. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of ear candies. If you pay attention, there's much more effort put there. And at the end with the screams and the shouts, it's pretty experimental. It's pretty cool. It's pretty messy in a good way. But to my taste, I would make the vocals shine a little more. As much as they are important, they are not dominating, kinda. I don't feel a perfect balance between the vocals and the beat. It feels that the beat is eating the vocals a little bit. But as it feels from their Instagram that they are very much live focused. I see a lot of merch, I see a lot of touring, so maybe these productions are designed for live. In that way, having the beats being this hard and the vocals a little bit more in the background, so when they are performing live, they keep the tracks of the vocals and they just perform on top of them, and then this makes sense. This is assuming they are very precise in everything they're doing. I dream of chrome. There's a switch of sound here. There's a switch of vibe, and the cheap basic synth have arrived. And I'm not a big fan of this type of sound, especially with this type of vibe. It just drags it down and makes it a little too heavy for me to listen to. All these rage boys, the Uzi, Yeet, all that, when they use these type of cheap synth Nintendo sounding shit, it's cool, but on top of that, you make it on a slow BPM. It's just too heavy for me. I don't like it. All the back vocals and all the shouting and all that is really cool, very southern, so I give them credit here for mixing so many things together, and the result is pretty interesting. It's not for me, but I'm sure it is for somebody because these guys have fans. And with this vibe, I can understand more the Suicide Boys name being super representative of all these sad boys, emo generation. This is really that vibe, and even in the vocals and the flows and the vocal production, I can feel that vibe. It's pretty cool. Not for me, but I respect this. Champagne Face, I like the sample of these kids chanting. I like the chords change. There is a weird horror vibe in it that is pretty cool. The contrast between these kids chanting and the super dark beats, it works pretty well together. The vocal signature, again, it feels like this is like very consistent, so it feels like this producer called Bud Dwyer, if I'm not mistaken, he's the one recording and he's the one mixing and mastering as well, because it's very consistent in terms of sound, even though you can feel like the first two are kind of one style and then the third and fourth so far are kind of different, but the sound is very consistent. The vocal production is very consistent. The fact that he puts all these super spread stereo vocals, always two tracks, never perfectly aligned, it has a vibe. Like it or not, doesn't matter, but they are putting an effort on having their own sound, and I very much respect that rather than copying what's happening. The Serpent and the Rainbow, so the 3-6 Mafia influence is pretty clear here. It's a cool vibe, like nothing special really in this track except that super loud tremolo melody that should be a little less loud to my taste. Other than that, it's a cool song, really nothing special here. It feels very live performance design though. It really feels like this is kind of shit that would be really fun to listen to live. My Swisher, Sweeba, my 6 Sauer, whatever the fuck that means, it's a cool song, it's a good vibe, but I feel like it's missing something. I feel this again is great live music, but to listen to at home or like driving or whatever, I feel like it's missing some energy. The best example I can give of this would be All Day by Kanye West. All Day, if you watch that performance he had in London with all the London rappers behind, that energy is insane. If you listen to All Day studio recorded, it's missing something. This is precisely what I mean. Other than that, the scratches all over the song is a little annoying to my taste. I would put them like here and there, but not constantly throughout. It's a little aggressive to me. Center Core, Nevermore, I don't know what to say really. It sounds like, I hate to say this, but it sounds like any other song that they put, even though it's even only 7. It feels kind of repetitive at some point, so I'd like to hear something else. Maybe if I paid attention to the lyric, I would enjoy it more, and I will, but this is not what we're reviewing here. In terms of production, it's all kind of the same BPM, the same vibe, the same everything, and I understand Yeet is doing that a lot also. Like a lot of people like just get stuck in whatever works and they don't explore much. As much as I love consistency in terms of sound, I love experimentation and surprises also, not only stay in your comfort zone. In conclusion, Suicide Boys, even though there's Germ there, it feels like it's more their thing where they invited him to be part of because of the production being by one of them, all that stuff. They have their signature sound and I love that. Their influences are pretty clear, we can understand who they like, but they're not copying that shit. They're just taking it somewhere else, more modern, more updated, and more them, and that also I very much respect. Not everything is for everybody, so I'm not crazy about this music, but I very much respect it. They They created their own lane. They are being consistent with the sound, with the flows, and maybe with the subject matter. It feels like it's very much designed for live shows, and for their studio production, I feel like there's something missing, like the earlier Kanye West All Day example that I gave. The live is way better than the studio. It's just missing some energy. Will I go check all their discography? No. Will I go and check every time they drop something? Yes. Will I go check them live? Absolutely. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. Please let me know what you think about this album, what you think about my review. If you think it's trash, give me a thumbs down. If you think it's amazing, give me a thumb up. Either way, please tell me why you think I'm great or I'm trash. I don't care. We're here to evolve together. Everybody calm down on the internet. Have a blessed holiday season. Don't hold a grudge on your people. Be loving, be giving, and see you next week. Peace.